Hey guys, Eddie here from Delayed Property. Today I want to do a quick video, and this video is going to be about a question that was asked to me the other day. I had a meeting with a client here in the office, and we had a one-on-one property strategy session where we go through what kind of steps they need to do from where they're at the moment to really grow a property portfolio, things to look at such as finance, structure, strategy, where to buy, all that kind of stuff. Basically had a meeting with a client the other day, and they've come back later on. Apparently their wife said, the question was, yeah, sure, we're going to buy all these properties and build a portfolio to work towards building a passive income, an income stream through owning property. But what happens if yourself, for example, you have 16 properties, Eddie? What happens if they're not all rented out? What happens if all the tenants move out and you've got 16 properties you've got to pay for? What happens? What's going to happen? You're going to have to sell your property, or they're all going to go bankrupt, or whatever it is. So that's basically what I'm going to be sharing information, my thoughts and experience today. Basically, what's that question? So what happens if you have 10, 15, 16 properties like I do, and all your tenants move out? What happens? And we can talk about this from a lot of different ways and different perspectives, but basically, long story short, I'll cut to the chase. Landlord insurance. When you own property, every single property that I have must have landlord insurance, and there's different kind of insurance companies out there. You can get your property insured by the big banks, EBM, or Terry Shear. I usually go with Terry Shear. And what landlord insurance does, if you've got properties and say your tenant moves out unexpectedly and breaks their lease or does anything or breaks anything internally, the landlord insurance actually covers it. So for one, if you've got tenants in and they break their lease, they move out, the landlord insurance covers it and pays the rent. That's problem solved, basically, if they break their lease. If you've got 16 properties like I do, the odds are that all 16 the tenants are going to move out at once is highly unlikely. That's why I find it's always better to diversify in different locations. One, diversify. Another one is stick to metro areas. And, so I've bought properties in Sydney, Brisbane, Gold Coast, Adelaide, Cairns, everywhere. So diversify in different areas that are still metro, that are still going to have a lot of, abundance of tenants. It's still 20, 30 minutes to the heart of the CBD, close to shops, schools, amenities, all that kind of stuff. Basically, I don't go buying out in the middle of nowhere. I don't go buying out in the middle of Whoop or regional areas where there's only 5,000 people living there. Always metro area, but low entry price. So that can kind of offset and mitigate your risk as much as possible. But basically, the odds are you're always going to have tenants in place. And the longest I ever had a property vacant was like a couple of weeks. And if you've got a right property manager as well, you've got to build the right connection of people, such as your property managers within a metro area, to be able to make sure that your property is going to get tenanted right away if it goes vacant. And if it's a metro area, within 20 minutes of a city like Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, there's a shortage of housing. Of course it's going to get rented. There's very low vacancy rates, so having multiple properties, this is exactly why I would much rather have 16 properties worth, as an example here, worth 5-6 million, than as opposed to having one property worth 5 or 6 million. Because if that one property goes vacant, it's all your eggs in one basket. Tenant moves out, boom, that's everything. We've got 16 properties, like I do. Two tenants move out for 2 weeks. You have to, the other rent. It's not all your eggs, and basically you've got enough cash flow surplus. If I've got the 16 properties I have, if I had 3 tenants or 4 tenants or 5 tenants move out, the rent is so high in comparison to the expenses that it could service itself. It could pay for itself, even if 3 or 4 properties were vacant for a long period of time, but they wouldn't be because they're in a metro area. So yeah, I'm very, very passionate about this subject. That's probably why I'm talking a little bit fast, but it's very basic and very fundamental. You've really got to increase your knowledge, your mindset, and really do your research. because these are the kind of questions that hold people back. And the bottom line is you can either take action, try to better your situation, invest in property, and buy 1, 2, 3, or 15, 16, 20, however many you want, or you can do what average people do, buy one property, or none at all, or two, sit on your hands and say it's too hard, you complain about why it's too hard, and then watch the people that actually invest in property make more money and more money and more money, and then and then be dirty and disgruntled in 20 years saying, I should have bought property, I didn't. And, bottom line, you've got to take the leap of faith. You've got to take the leap of faith and get out of your comfort zone. Every single property that I bought, along my journey, it never felt ready. I didn't feel comfortable buying the property, but the numbers made sense. So if you just look at watching this video, you think about getting started, it's quite easy to get started with as little as $30,000 to buy your first investment property. So I hope this video helps. This was just an answer to a question: what happens if all your tenants move out? Once again, you've got landlord insurance. Terry Shear, EBM, the big banks, if your tenant breaks their lease unexpectedly, the insurance will cover it. So if they move out unexpectedly, the insurance is going to pay your mortgage. It's going to pay the rent if they move out unexpectedly. That's one way. Another way, again, you've got to have the right property manager to make sure the property's going to be, if it does go vacant for a short period of time, that they market it, advertise it, they've got a good marketing campaign, and they're switched on, they're going to get it tenanted right away. I've had tenants move out, 2 days later, new tenants have moved in. Because why? Metro area, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, within a half an hour, 20 minute, 40 minute, an hour radius of the CBD, close to shops, schools, all that kind of stuff, not buying out in the middle of nowhere. So it's going to be tenanted right away. And you've got insurance, worst case scenario. If anything happens, if they move out, well then you're taken care of. And if you're starting off small anyway, buying property for 200, 350, 400K, the expenses aren't that much to begin with. So what's worked for me is starting small and gradually growing your portfolio. You don't go for $1 million right away, even if you can. Start off smaller and gradually grow over time. Hope this video helps. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.